Reading lesson 112. Here's a new kind of problem. Each column has a fraction, not a whole number. This line plot shows the number of miles people walk. Remember, the numbers for the columns are miles. The P's are for people. Two people walk 1/8 of a mile. Zero people are walking 2/8 of a mile. Three people are walking 3/8 of a mile. Four people are walking 4/8 of a mile. Zero people are walking 5/8 of a mile. We work the problem the same way we work problems with whole numbers. We find the total for each column, we add the totals to find the total number of miles, then we divide by the number of people to find the average. The problem for this column is 1/8 plus 1/8. The equation for this column is 3/8 plus 3/8 plus 3/8. The equation for this column is 4/8 plus 4/8 plus 4/8 plus 4/8. In part A, figure out the total for each column. Leave your answers as eighths. Here's what you should have. 1/8 plus 1/8 equals 2/8. 3/8 plus 3/8 plus 3/8 equals 9/8. 4/8 plus 4/8 plus 4/8 plus 4/8 equals 16/8. Now add those fractions to find the total number of miles. Leave your answer as a fraction. 2 plus 9 plus 16 equals 27/8. Divide by the number of people up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you're going to divide 27/8 divided by 9. 27/8 divided by 9 equals 3/8. So the average distance the people walk is 3/8 of a mile. Now open your workbook to lesson 112 and find part 1. This is like the problem we just worked. The fractions show the length of different boards. The units are yards. The unit the fractions show are yards. The letter B stands for boards. Figure out the total for each column and write it below, just like here. Resume the video when you're ready to check your work. Here's what you should have. Now figure out the total number of yards, then divide by the total number of boards. So add these up, then divide it by however many B's there are. Pause the video now. Do your work. Resume when you're ready to check. The total number of yards is 50, so adding this up, you would get 50/3. You're going to divide it by the number of B's. There's 10 B's. So your equation is 50/3 times 1/10. It would be 50/3 divided by 10/1, but then you multiply it by its reciprocal. So here's your original problem, 50/3 divided by 10, because there's 10 B's. This would be 10/1, so then you turn it into its reciprocal to solve. So it turns into 50/3 times 1/10. These can both be divided by 10. 50 divided by 10 is 5. 10 divided by 10 is 1. Multiplying straight across, you get 5/3. 5 goes into 3 one time with 2 left over. Denominator stays the same. Don't forget your units. So 5/3 equals 1 2/3 yards. Now open your textbook to lesson 112, find part 1. I'll read these words to you twice through. Quadrilateral, rhombus, square, parallelogram, rectangle, quadrilateral, rhombus, square, parallelogram, rectangle. So write the names and the answers for A through J. Do all this on your own right now. Resume when you're ready to check. A, quadrilateral. B, parallelogram. C, rectangle. D, rhombus. E, square. F, what is any parallelogram that has 4 90-degree angles? Rectangle. G, what is any figure that has 4 straight sides and 4 angles? Quadrilateral. H, what is any parallelogram that has 4 90-degree angles and 4 sides the same length? Square. And I, what is any parallelogram that has 4 sides the same length? Rhombus. Lastly, what is any quadrilateral that has 2 pairs of parallel sides? Parallelogram. We're going to do the multiplication and division for this rectangle the fast way, but you're going to answer the questions about some of the steps we make. Listen, can we write the division problem before we do the multiplication? No. We need to know the total number of squares before we divide. We need to know the total number of squares before we divide, so we need to multiply first. Do the multiplication for the tens part, which is 3 times 20. Then do the multiplication for this ones part, 3 times 7. You'll add those together. 3 times 20 equals 60. 3 times 7 equals 21. Add those together. 60 plus 21 equals 81. Now we can work the division problem. We multiplied by the number of rows, so we divide by the same number, the number of rows. So we'll do 81 divided by the number of rows, 3. 81 divided by 3. So figure out the squares in a row and write the answer for the division problem. The answer, 81 divided by 3, is 27, because there's 27 in each of these rows, 27 squares in each of these. All right. Moving on. 5 3/4 cans were filled. Each can held 2/3 gallon. How many gallons were in the cans? I'll repeat. 5 3/4 cans were filled. Each can held 2/3 gallon. How many gallons were in the cans? You know the gallons in one can, and you have to find the gallons in 5 3/4 cans. So you multiply 5 3/4 times 2/3. Because you have this many cans, and each of those cans has this much in it. So you're going to multiply this number by this number, 5 3/4 times 2/3. In part B, write the multiplication problem, change the mixed number into a fraction, and work the problem. Write the answer as a mixed number and a unit name. Pause the video now to work the problem. Here's what you should have. 5 3/4 So 4 times 5 is 20, plus 3 is 23. So that turns into 23/4 times 2/3. These can both be divided by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Multiply straight across. 23 times 1 is 23. 2 times 3 is 6. 23 goes into 6 3 times, right? So 23 divided by 6 is 3 and 5/6 gallons. Find part 2 in your textbook. These problems are like the ones you just worked. Problem A. A pipe leaked at the rate of 1 2/5 gallons each day. The pipe leaked, meaning was losing. So the pipe leaked for 8 days. How many gallons did the pipe leak? The pipe leaked for 8 days. So you multiply 1 2/5 gallons by 8. Pause the video now to work the problem. Resume when you're ready to check your answer. Here you go. Problem B. A recipe calls for 1 1/2 cups of oil. How much oil is needed for 3/4 of the amount that each recipe calls for? So 3/4 of an amount is 3/4 times the amount. Pause the video now to work the problem. 1 1/2 times 3/4. Resume when you're ready to check. Here's what you should have. Problem C. 2 students wrote pages of notes. Jay wrote 4 3/4 pages. Fran wrote 1 3/5 times as much as Jay. How many pages did Fran write? So you set up the equation 4 3/4 times 1 3/5. Pause the video now to work the problem. Resume when you're ready to check. Here's what you should have. Now, moving on to exponents. In part C, write the letters of the 2 operations that equal 27,000. Pause the video now. Work the problems and circle and let me know which ones equal 27,000. There are 2. When you know the answer, send it to me in a chat saying lesson 112, exercise 5, with the answers. Moving on. This problem reads, G equals 2/3 R. G equals 4. I'll read it again. G equals 2/3 R. G equals 4. The problem gives a number for G. G equals 4. So rewrite the equation plugging 4 in for G, like so. Your new equation is 4 equals 2/3 R. 4 equals 2/3 R. You have to figure out R. You need to multiply both sides by the reciprocal of 2/3. The reciprocal of 2/3 is 3/2. So this side gets multiplied by 3/2 and so does this side. So you get R all by itself. So your new equation is 3/2 times 4. 4 would be over 1. 4 and 2 can both go into 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So 3/2 times 4 over 1 is 3 halves times 2 over 1 is 6 over 1, or 6. 6 equals R. Next problem. This problem gives the number for m. Our equation says m equals 5 times k. M equals 5 times k. M equals 20. Plug 20 in for m. Here's what you should have. You need to get k all by itself. So 5 would be 5 over 1. You need to multiply it by its reciprocal of 1/5 on this side and this side. So over here you have 1/5 times 20, or 1/5 times 20 over 1. 20 and 5 can both be divided by 5. 20 divided by 5 equals 4. 5 divided by 5 equals 1. So your new equation over here is 1 over 1 times 4 over 1. 4, so 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1. 4 over 1 equals 4. So 4 equals k. This sentence reads, the cat weighs 1/5 as much as the dog. The cat weighs 1/5 as much as the dog. You learn to write equations for sentences like this one. The sentence names cats first. The cat weighs, meaning C equals. That gets rewritten as C equals. What goes after the equal sign is the rest of the sentence. 1/5 as much as the dog. 1/5 D. C equals 1/5 D. Here's a problem. The cat weighs 1/5 as much as the dog. The cat weighs 12 pounds. How many pounds does the dog weigh? The problem gives a number for the cat. So I write the equation with a number for the cat. The cat weighs 12 pounds, so I'm going to plug in 12 for C. Like so, my new equation is 12 equals 1/5 D. Now I need to get D all by itself because I need to know the weight of the dog. So I will multiply this side by the reciprocal of 1/5. The reciprocal of 1/5 is 5 over 1. I need to also multiply this side by the reciprocal of 1/5, 5 over 1. Now I have D all by itself. So my new equation is 5 over 1 times 12 over 1. So 5 times 12 equals 60. 1 times 1 equals 1. 60 over 1 equals 60. So D equals 60. The dog weighs 60 pounds. So, which animal weighs less, the cat or the dog? The cat weighs less. The dog is 5 times heavier than the cat. The cat weighs 12 pounds and the dog weighs 60 pounds. Those numbers show that the cat weighs 1/5 as much as the dog. New problem. The building is 4/5 as tall as the tower. The building is 200 feet tall. How many feet taller is the tower? The equation for this is B for building equals 4/5 T. T represents tower. B equals 4/5 T. Then it gives us a number for buildings, B. I need to plug in 200 for B. 200 equals 4/5 t. Now I need to get t all by itself. I need to do that by multiplying this fraction by its reciprocal. The reciprocal of 4/5 is 5/4. Multiply it over here and over here. Now we need to put 200 over 1 and multiply straight across. But before we do that, we can divide these two. 200, this and this can be reduced by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 200 divided by 4 is 50. 5 times 50 is 250. 1 times 1 is 1. So it's just 250. Because remember, any number over 1 is just the numerator. 250 equals t, what we are solving for. The tower is 250 feet tall. Now please find part 3 in your textbook. Problem A. The camera weighed 3/5 as much as the book. The camera weighed 9/4 pounds. How many pounds did the book weigh? Write the equation with 2 letters. Below, write the equation with 1 letter replaced by a number. Like so. Pause the video now to solve. Resume when you're ready to check your work. Here's your answer. Problem B. Tamir picked 3/4 as many apples as his mom picked. His mom picked 12 apples. How many apples did Tamir pick? Write the letter equation, replace one of the letters with a number. Stop. Pause the video now to work the problem. Resume when you're ready to check your work. Here is what you should have. Your independent work begins now. Your independent work is textbook parts 4 through 12, no workbook. Reach out to me on Teams if you need help. Otherwise, get busy.